And screen code it out like it's supposed to. Live chat. Hey, y'all. We should be live. It's counting. All right. Today, we have a special guest, a new guest, on top of Brian here, old Red. We got Jeff Matlock, who has been on the channel before in Clear Lake video, March.
Probably a couple times. I've been in
March.
Probably
a couple other ones, at least. But the most recently would be February.
Probably more famous for the sunglass loss on the Delta.
Oh, yeah. That is forgot. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's a good video.
Good
those were like $300 glasses, right?
They were prescription Oakleys, yeah.
Prescription Oakley sunglasses?
Right.
Yeah, just gone.
I think some folks wearing them.
Yeah. It's probably right next to other people's sunglasses. Yeah, that's a short on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It did actually pretty good. It turns out the glasses levitate at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
What are we talking about today?
Today's topic is going to be the mental side of winning, talking about how to win mentally on the water, which usually equates with a good finish or a good day.
What?
But before we get that, while people are logging on, you guys just saw the recap that came on a couple hours ago. 4 o'clock today was the Comanche recap. What's your brief recap of Comanche? What was your thoughts and ideas?
Well, I think you guys already know I'm not a huge fan of Comanche. It's always been brutal to me. The recap of it, fish were deep. Saturday was terrible for my partner and I. But a tale of 2 days. Sunday started slow, but we ended up, I think we ended up with 13 something and ended up in second place for the day and third place overall for the weekend. So I think we salvaged a bad weekend and did pretty well.
Yeah.
Some of that key into what we're talking about today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. The mental approach changed things, I think.
Yeah, which is typical for the most part.
Yeah.
On a fun day or not, there's definitely some pre-fish days that I've had where we're like 3 hours in and I'm ready to go if you're ready to go. I'm not feeling it today, and I could tell maybe Brian's not feeling it that day, and we're just like, yeah, let's just go. It's too cold, too windy, too whatever.
Absolutely.
Most of your fish, what were you catching most of your fish
on? On Sunday, drop shot. It was definitely
so exciting.
A drop shot day, and I think and I think your partner even commented when you drove by us. I heard you said Matlock's probably having a really fun time trying to be slow.
Yeah.
And slow down, and I'm
slow
not
down
like that.
Offshore.
Yeah, it was. In all reality, though, it was a good learning experience.
Yeah.
To learn some stuff about that you're that I think I can take to other lakes.
Yeah, the Sean, the guy you fish with, is definitely good on that lake.
Yes, he is.
So you get to learn a lot really quick. Who we got?
Big John.
Big John tags in. Hey, Big John.
Hey, Big John.
Oh, almost forgot. Tuesday, not Wednesday, Tuesday, the next week, the 19th, I'm supposed to have a guy bringing in swim baits that make these baits look small. And he said, we're going to talk about swim baits. So it will be on a Tuesday, not a Wednesday. Keep an eye out for it. That'll be the 19th.
Yep.
And the following Saturday, which is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, the 23rd?
The 23rd.
The 23rd.
Yeah, the 23rd.
We're almost there. I'm going to get it right. Yeah. Is the open for the Bass Reapers out of Puda Creek. $150 all in. That's $120 stringer, $30 big fish. And that's 85% payback at the 120 for the stringer and 100% payback for big fish. And there's a raffle afterwards. So
With a lot of good prizes.
a lot of good prizes for
Yeah.
sure. Anywhere from was there
Yeah.
Oh,
Camel
there's-
Joe says 10 days away.
10 days
10
away.
days away.
10 days away.
Almost there.
Almost there.
Yeah,
It
there's-
is 160 at the ramp if you're coming and signing in at the ramp. Make sure you bring cash.
cash
that.
only. It's an additional $10 for a day of sign up.
Correct.
So 160 on that, but the payouts are going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And then also bring cash for the raffle because there's a graph. There's $1,000 worth of tackle from
Oh, yeah.
some of the places. There's
First
I don't
Gen,
know.
I've talked
You
to
know
First
more
Gen
than I do.
Fishing has sent some stuff. We've talked to a couple of the other ones. Still trying to work on like Bass Union to get maybe some jigs or something. But sounds like Berryessa Boat Repair is going to donate something. Hopefully, it's going to be a service or at least the materials for a service.
Yeah,
Service
something,
kit or something like that.
something to help give away.
And those guys there, Jerry's really good there. I think he's serviced a few of our boats recently.
Yeah, we
Gone,
got
Gone Fishing.
Gone Fishing Marine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Big sponsor. Always sponsors us every year.
Bass Angler Magazine. Mark Lassane has
Yep.
sent in a 1-year subscription to the magazine.
Awesome.
So-
And there's many, many more. I can't even think. There was
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A. There was
Tackle packs.
Katati, the place out of Katati, Outdoor Pro. Outdoor Pro donated like what $200 gift certificates or something like that.
And you can never forget Todd's Rods.
Yeah.
Yeah, Todd's donated about $1,000 worth of tackle towards that raffle.
And some custom made rods.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Some really nice rods.
Nice.
yeah.
Custom
so it's
made.
gonna be going good. So.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All right. Well, let's get into this.
The
The mental side of winning.
So the mental side of winning, the overall premise of what we're going to talk about is basically positive mental attitude, PMA. Something that I struggle with.
Yes. You
Definitely.
Yes.
do. Yeah.
I think,
you do.
I think everybody kind of does at some point to some level. It is definitely something that's in there. Kind of get into, tips, tricks, ideas, stuff that you can think outside the box on. I know that I can get halfway through the day and I can tell, or not even halfway through the day, just throughout the day and realize like where I'm at versus where I need to be. Like
Right.
like there's a certain zone that I get into that I can tell when I'm fishing the way I'm supposed to or I need to. And then when I'm severely distracted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would go into talking about this. This isn't just going to the lake and fishing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, there's a lot of
there's
other
a-
aspects to it.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
it's huge, right? This is a huge topic.
There's a pro that says your day on the water starts at home or something like
Yes.
that. I can't remember which pro it is.
100%, right? Like just being prepared for the body of water that you're going to, right? Thinking about it prior to, getting your boat ready prior to, right? Any snafu that you have, like just going to the lake, could change that mental aspect.
And I think we've all had those.
Yes,
Yes.
100%.
So what you're trying, it's funny because being my first time on, I wrote a couple of notes. It's almost like you read some of my notes.
Yeah. No, I did not.
But you mentioned
great minds think alike.
preparation.
Yes.
And I know,
Not the H kind.
correct. James has talked about
Make you
this.
whistle real good, though.
Right. James has spoken about this on some of his others, so I don't think we'll get into the details of some of it, but the preparation, like, to me, looking at a map of the lake
Yeah.
and doing some map research, whether you have like Navionics app or anything like that on your phone or your iPad.
Having like a destination to go to when you get there, instead of just getting on the water and just,
Or
I don't know where to go.
at least some
type thing.
possibilities to maybe start, especially when you pre-fish.
Correct.
There's also, you mentioned like boat maintenance.
Yes.
Is your boat maintained?
Yeah, that is the one thing that can drag you down all day if you have a boat issue of any kind.
Real quick.
Or
Yes.
you have one that you haven't fully resolved and it's sitting in the back of your head, it can distract you all day long while that one
Yes.
little thing keeps rolling in the back of your head.
For example, fish the BAM Open team tournament at Clear Lake, right? We pulled boat number 1. We were doing good pre-fishing, like we had a destination where we're gonna go, what we're gonna do, and we're in full pad running, blast off. We're in the lead, and my boat throws a code and shuts down. Right, goes into limp mode. What actually happened was nothing that I could have fixed or known at the time.
Yeah.
But I had a clog in because I have a 2-stroke, for the oil to go to my reservoir on the motor. So it wasn't picking up the oil going to the motor. There was a clog in the line. How? I don't know.
Right.
But that was the problem. So it shut us down where we didn't want to be. Kind of changed that mental thought process, right? And that's going back to that boat maintenance prior to that prep.
Oh, absolutely.
In the beginning.
And real quick, what's happening, JTW?
Can I mention along those lines is trailer maintenance?
Yes.
And the one story I have from that is, if you guys remember when we went to Oroville, I was fishing with Craig Tanner, and we got there, we went Thursday night and went to pre-fish Friday morning, and I realized that I think Thursday night we put the boat in the water for a couple hours and realized that I have a dual axle trailer, that one of the wheel bearings had gone out. So the wheel was wobbling.
There's 3 more. It's fine.
Right.
It's fine.
I think one of the things with not only preparation, but also being able to deal with that, I almost had to laugh, because what are you going to do at that point?
Right.
So what we did was I took that wheel off. We actually launched Friday morning because nothing was open to pre-fish. And about 9 o'clock, I made a few calls. Craig brought me in. He stayed pre-fishing. I went into town. Luckily found a place that would fix that trailer bearing. I even joked to Craig, we're going to call this the weekend of perseverance, and we're going to do well because of it. Come to find out, when we fish on Saturday, overnight, Friday night into Saturday morning, the plug for the battery at the campground, the circuit breaker was thrown. We didn't know it, so about 11 or 12 in the morning that day, all the graphs go off. And I started to laugh. It's the weekend of perseverance. And I think we did second place both days there. We were catching close to 50 fish a day.
Orville's.
And like recently, you come out and beat me the second day when we do better than the first day.
Yeah, it happens.
I've definitely been beat on both sides.
Not only the preparation, but the ability to deal with some perseverance a little bit.
That perseverance, that positive outlook of like, yes, this could stop you, but what's the way around it? Like, how do you step around it? Those days that you have that step around are the days that,
yes,
like, your mind stays open. You're able to adapt to things. Like, doesn't matter what somebody throws at you. You're like, okay, cool. Like, how do we deal with it versus, oh no.
Right. Yeah. Camel Joe says graphs, that's a mental challenge for real, right? Like if they shut off, doing that type of stuff.
Or if you just don't know what you're looking at for graphs. I've definitely fished with some people that they don't even know what they're looking at. I'm like, yeah, you see this right there? They're like, yeah, sure. And you're like,
what is
okay.
that?
Getsy says, hi, Matlock. I'm gonna say that in the short term. Hi, Matlock. And then Angel has a comment too.
He actually said, Getsy said, well, look what the cat dragged in.
Yeah, I told him to take it easy on me tonight, and he said, no way. So,
yeah.
Bring it on.
Hey, I wish we were like Bass After Dark and we gave an award for the cruelest comment after.
Right?
I don't know if
Angel says, Angel says I probably had a sorry Steve stuck in the oil line.
Yeah, probably did.
That's a high probability.
Yeah. I don't like throwing those overboard. You can't get them.
No.
No.
They're like gold right now.
I searched Texas and South Carolina recently when I was out there, and I could not find them.
Just find them on the wall somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you can't find them online anywhere.
nowhere.
Yes.
So it is on back
Angel
order.
says, how about losing a trolling motor in the first hour? That is a thing too. Right?
I fished a tournament with my dad years ago. I was a young pup, and we go out to or on Clear Lake. We go out to the caves off Rattlesnake area or on that area, and trolling motor, like the wind's blowing, waves are going, and the steering breaks on the trolling motor.
Cable.
We like snaps all the mounts for the steering, the cable for it. We run back, go to the local tackle shop, buy a trolling motor, put it on the boat, and then go fishing. And I think we still did pretty good that day. And we literally had to go buy a trolling motor at who knows what the price was.
That's pretty extreme.
Yeah, and the funny part about it is he had like a 48 inch, and then the one he bought was a 52 inch, so it was even more. So now we could go be in the bigger waves.
Yeah.
And we'd have even better traction out there.
But definitely preparing yourself to go out there. Your mind has to be in a spot clear, right? Like you can't be arguing with your spouse and go fishing and think you're going to do really good, right? You can't have a really bad week at work and then go out fishing and fish a tournament and think that you're going to just cream them, because you're not in that mindset, right? Like,
and the thing is recognizing on your way to the water, recognizing I'm not in the right mindset, and then start to put yourself in that mindset on your way.
Yeah.
Mute your phone or whatever you have to do to get yourself in that mindset.
Yeah, definitely. Or, if you're getting ready to run a open tournament and, you got a bunch of stuff going.
Yeah, it all falls
What are you
together.
talking about?
It'll all fall together in the end.
I'm just, trophies, raffles, making sure everything comes together, right? Like,
Yeah, it's stressful.
That's stressful stuff for
Right.
the people that are running it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
I've been there.
making sure it happens, right? Like those things that are out of your control are things that will give you stress, right? Or
Yeah.
it breaks down your mental aspect of when you get to that lake and you're trying to figure out the fish, right? Like bass fishing fishing in general, but bass fishing especially, when you're using just artificial stuff and trying to create that bite, you have to be in the right mindset to figure out those small little triggers or those small little clues while you're fishing to put everything together.
Yeah, if you aren't open to those clues, they go right over you and they miss you.
Right.
I don't know how many times I'll be like halfway through the day or all the way through the day, and I'm just like, I don't know what clue I missed. I can't get bit. I don't know what's going on. Like, I can't even get the clues to figure out what's going on. And then the drive home or the overnight is when I go, oh, well, I screwed up there. Oh, well, I screwed up there. Oh, well, I screwed up there. Like the looking back. But if you had that positive look on things the day of or during that time,
Right.
then you start looking back and reflecting before you get off the water and building your stuff to go through it.
It's hard to get off the water and drive home after the completion of a tournament and say, I should have done this. I should have done that. Because sometimes we don't go back to a lake. This last weekend's a perfect example. I don't think we're back at Comanche until next November.
Correct.
Yeah, we got a whole year.
So to remember little mistakes or things like that you did, kind of goes back to, do you write that down? Do you journal it? Do you keep it on video? Things like that.
Right.
It's kind of hard to remember that fact when we're going to have 10 other tournaments between now and then.
And the water level will be completely different by then.
Yeah, and the weather could be different, all that.
Yeah.
One thing you mentioned, Brian, I wanted to kind of bring up was you talked about the uncontrollable things, and one of the things you guys know, I coach baseball, and for those of you out there, I've coached a lot of high school baseball, college baseball over the last probably 10 or 11 years. One of the things we stress is just control the controllables.
Correct.
And really, like, you know, the example is water level, water clarity, the weather, things like that. The fish are all out of our control. So if you really start to fret and worry over that, you really kind of spin yourself into a mental state that's not positive.
Yeah.
The things you can control, what we're starting to talk about was, you know, preparation,
Correct.
boat maintenance.
The controllables.
Make sure your line isn't frayed so you don't break a fish off. Make sure you're paying attention so you actually set a hook.
How about I'm big on organizing your tackle so you know where it's at in the boat.
Yeah.
If you start to go to find something, you have to dig through. Sometimes that gets you like, oh my God, where is that? You know, I can't find it. It's in a different place than normal or something like that.
That's assuming that when you can't find it, it's still in the boat and not at home.
That's
Yeah. and
that comes down to preparation.
I've done that.
That thought starts happening though.
Yes.
Right? Like, and that will tailspin you. Right?
Yes.
Like you start thinking about, is it even in the boat? Right? Because I'm one of those people that when I come home, I take everything out of my boat. Right? I don't leave stuff in my boat.
Right.
Until the next tournament.
I got everything.
Yeah, I take everything out, right? So I typically know what I put back into my boat. But do you start thinking about that? Did I bring it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, or if you're sitting on the back seat, did I remember that? Because now I'm fishing in somebody else's boat.
Yeah, and I'm fishing out of a small tackle bag, right?
Fishing out a small tackle bag. Did I bring that bait?
Right.
Yeah, that struggle. And then the funny thing is like you go to grab something out of your box. It's not there because you didn't grab it. Now you're like, well, what if? Instead of like that positive part, now I'm stuck on the fact that I don't have it. Right. If I just get over that, say that's no longer an option, ball it up, throw it over my shoulder, toss it out. Okay, what do I have that I can work with?
Right.
Like it's that next step, like always making the next step.
How can I adapt to what I have now, right? It's like that thought process, and this is that clearer mind thinking, right? Like if I throw this bait and I catch 3 fish with it, what if I throw this color that's similar to that? It's a different style of bait, but it's similar color. What if I could catch more fish or bigger fish with that, right? That clear mindset helps you start working through those different aspects of.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's where that helps a lot when you're in a team situation.
Correct.
Because but that's also like playing with that in your pre-fishing, where cool, you catch 5 fish pre-fishing, like boom, 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 boom. I'll take that off and put something else on, unless I really want to have a fun day. Then I'll keep screwing around with it just to have a fun day. But I'll take whatever bait that is off and throw something else in there and see if I can get those to eat also. Like kind of that mix up.
Yeah, kind of like what we did at Clear Lake when we pre-fished. We found the jig bite and we argued about it. We wanted to do the same thing but differently.
Yeah.
Right? Like
this is pre-fishing like 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, 2 weeks earlier we wanted to do the exact same thing but differently. He wanted to take that bait off and do different stuff.
I wanted to, like, we were fishing shallow toolies.
Right.
I wanted to fish everything but shallow toolies, and he wanted to go along and find the best section of shallow toolies.
Yeah, I wanted to find the bigger fish.
Yeah, where's the bigger fish of it?
Okay,
and
if this bait's working right now, I don't know that bait's going to work in 2 weeks from now. I wanted to find the biggest fish on the lake, right? Because I know this bait is working. So if I find the biggest fish, I know that's where I want to go to in 2 weeks. I'll be able to adapt and adjust.
To start looking.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to start looking. This is where I'm going to start fishing and looking, right? Like that's my mindset, right? Like I know, right, I want to go here.
So I think both valid avenues to take.
100%.
Yeah, no, because the funny part about that conversation is that a couple years ago, the position I was arguing or representing was his position, and his position was my position. And then I realized it, and I just started laughing. And I was like, "You do realize we're arguing each other's points right now?" And then at the same time, I was able to be like, "Okay, what would I say? What would he say?" And then we ended up kind of doing both, basically.
Right.
Yeah, because you're going plan A, B, and C of quality fish, and you're going plan A, B, and C of location, so that you can.
Yeah.
Have some
Well, no,
backups,
I wanted
right?
to run down. Yeah, a backup spot, right? Like, or not a backup spot, a backup technique.
Okay.
What do we have if this doesn't work?
Correct.
And we didn't really find anything.
No.
The only thing we really found was like an A-rig or underspin bite, but it wasn't the right size.
Right.
But we at least ran it down and knew that that wasn't it.
Right.
And it ended up working out in the end.
Right. 100%.
I don't know how, but it worked out in the end.
But that was two different mindsets at that time for the same goal.
Yeah, you're both pushing forward. Nobody's fighting each other.
Yeah,
how do we maximize what it is? And that's another thing, is always trying to figure out, how do I make my efficiency better? How do I make my maximization better? How do I grow from here? Always wanting to grow, always want to take that, push it forward a little bit more. Like, how many times you get a co-angler that takes a jig or something and fires it off into the abyss in 100 foot of water and catches a freaking 4-pounder or 5-pounder, and you're just like,
Right.
what the heck, dude? Like, that's cool. And then you turn around and you keep fishing the bank.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute.
You never.
Why are we not? There's 4s and 5s out there.
Yeah. Why aren't we picking that up and throwing it out there? But that goes right back to that mindset, right? Like, you have to figure that kind of stuff out. You have to think ahead. You need to be thinking about all this kind of stuff. And if you're not clear thinking, right? You don't have that mindset, you're not going to pick up on that kind of stuff, right? That's why me and James like to pre-fish with each other. When we go to break down the lake, we're pre-fishing with each other, and we're fishing along, and I'll say, hey, did you see that? Right?
Yeah.
Or he'll be like, hey, did you see that? Right? Like,
yeah. Or
small
did
things.
Did you notice that we only are getting bit on this area? And then there's times where I'm like, hey, we're only getting bit in this. And he's like, no, it's this. Right? So like, then you start looking at it and you're like, okay, well, there's this piece and this piece every time we get bit, but I only noticed one, he noticed the other one.
Correct.
And then you start plugging those things together, and that's the teamwork part, and that's the keeping your eyes open.
And it kind of made me think of it as you were talking about it. It kind of shows the aspect of working together with somebody, because the mental with two, especially in our team tournament style, with two of us on the boat, if one's having a bad day, the other one can have a bad day as well.
Real quick.
You can drag down the other
And
side.
sometimes, hey, let's do this, or just a suggestion of changing something up.
Being open-minded. One of my questions that I ask and start that thought process, what are you thinking?
Yes.
What are you thinking right now?
I think I've heard that before.
You have.
If you were to be able to go, if you were to pick anywhere to go right now, where would it be?
Right.
Like those kind of questions, like get the conversation started, get it going. Like this last weekend, I told Caritha, my partner, I said, your number one goal this weekend is to keep me out of the dirt. Just keep me positive. That's your number one goal.
Yeah.
Is to keep me positive, because
Are
you're
you
gonna hear me cussing, screaming, and kicking and crying.
Are you saying you spin out?
Especially at one specific location that I'm unable to mention.
Yeah.
Because
you can no longer mention you.
someone
Yeah, you
told
no
me I
longer
could
can
no longer mention.
You agree with me, right?
I second that, yes.
Yeah, he can no longer mention that ever again.
That like tears me apart inside.
But that's a part of that mental aspect of doing it, right? Like you talking about that right now on the topic that we're talking about, you always go, I hate this lake, I hate this lake, I hate this lake.
But the whole time
you're
I'm
dropping
working on it.
you're dropping your mental aspect. And then when you go there, you always tell me it takes you a day or 2 days to figure them out.
I always barely kind of figure it out Friday. I think I have it figured out Friday. Saturday proves me that I'm completely wrong, and then like halfway through the day on Sunday it clicks and I get lucky at the last half of the day.
So a simple fix is, why don't you go fish Thursday?
Because then I'll train wreck
You might-
on Saturday.
No, Saturday will be your half day, which is normally Sunday, and then Sunday you'll just wreck them.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Isn't- isn't that like-
No, because every time you go to
Don't
that
you have? Isn't
stupid
that?
body of water, like they were stacked on a spot on Friday, they're barely there on Saturday, and they were ghost town on Sunday. I just happened to get two lucky bites off of there. It was three total, but one didn't end up.
But you know they're. We've talked about it before. They're
that's-
going to go one way or the other.
But that comes down to your adaptation and your positiveness, right?
Correct.
Like, I don't know how many cajillions of fish that I have thrown at on the fabled the horrible 3 letters, and the fish go down with that bait and don't come back up with the bait.
That's the dark side of that.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh!
Letter
But
word.
that lake is like a curse for me when it comes to that. Like I'll throw at I don't know, hundreds of fish.
You might pick up one.
There was
But
a lot
you
of
get
that this
'em-
weekend too.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they look at your
100%.
bait and they swim away.
Oh yeah, and then you get like your bait's going down, and you see 4 of them go
Right.
down with it, and then like one never makes it to the bottom, one almost gets to the bottom, 2 actually go all the way down, and then later on you see the other 2 swimming away with the rest of them, and
Oh, yeah.
your bait's still sitting.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the frustrating
It
side.
is what it is.
Do you
Just
guys
spots
ever?
are curious.
Do you ever find yourself? You're kind of talking with your partner. I just thought of this too. Is when I'm fishing a lot. If I catch a fish, I usually out loud say, kind of what happened. So one
Yeah.
for me, but also for my partner. And a thing, an example is like Clear Lake. You're fishing docks.
Right.
I always tell my partner like whatever I'm fishing. Usually, you're asking what each other's fishing, but hey, I caught that fish on the initial drop
Yeah.
on the outside pole of that dock, not an
Yep.
inside. And so, is that a pattern yet? I don't know.
Yeah.
'Cause
We'll
one
do-
can be an anomaly, and then, but if you get 2 or 3, and all of a sudden he goes, "Hey, I just caught mine on the outer pole as well."
Yeah.
Okay, are we establishing a pattern now? Now we can. You talked about efficiency. We can be more efficient. I don't need to go inside the docks.
Right.
I could probably
Yeah.
stay outside and fish the outer poles. And
Yeah.
was it a
You
wooden
still
pole?
cast in, and in between docks, you hit the back poles
Right.
while you're jumping through to keep them honest, to
Yes.
make sure they didn't move around throughout the day. But yeah, that's like this weekend. I'm like, hey, I was dead sticking it, or hey, I was shaking it, or
Right.
hey, it's this. Like those little clues of anything you can say that they can. You bounce off of each other, whether
Yeah,
it's
I think
this
a
or
lot
that.
this weekend was a drop shot, and was that all of a sudden it just felt heavy, or were they actually actively feeding and hit it? And a lot of it was
They
it
were
was
just heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They were.
I talked about the same thing. Hey, that was dead stick. My partner doing the same thing.
right.
Hey, I was dragging it. Hey, I was reeling it in.
Yeah, that
Right,
happens
like-
as well.
So, but those are clues, right? Like you reeling it in, that means they're chasing.
Yeah, maybe I want to change from a drop shot, or at least maybe one of us might start
Yeah.
throwing a deep
Or-
diving crank or something like
Throw
that.
something else that might get that mindset, or
And
like
that's coming
like-
down.
Yeah,
a spoon, right? Like if they're chasing something up,
right.
Yeah, it's funny because I threw a spoon, vibrating jig, and I couldn't get the deeper fish to go off. And then the Veterans Day tournament, the guys basically sounded like they were kind of fishing the same kind of stuff I was fishing, and they caught them all on spoon.
yeah,
They also had wind and some other stuff. But
and
that,
rain.
And rain.
But that's
Whole different-
also that
whole different
also,
aspect.
Totally different day.
that goes back to that open mindset, right? Like I'm able to recall that I was shaking it. So that
Correct.
means my mind is not off running about work, home, a car, a truck, a boat, a trailer, or anything like that. I'm able to focus on what's at hand at the time to where I'm only right there in the middle.
Correct. It's definitely a thing that you have to be in that mindset. You cannot be wandering and thinking about other things. The phones go down, right?
Yeah, my
Like-
phone, I only look at my phone if I'm moving spots or end of the day.
Yeah.
That's about it. And I don't even look at it if I'm moving spots all the time.
If I'm fishing a tournament, my phone goes in my glove box, and the only way I'm answering it is if somebody's calling me and it's a club member calling me, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
and that's typically if a club member's calling me, it's because something's wrong, right?
Right.
Like they need to let me know
Yeah, you're
what's
going to be
going on.
available
like-
for that.
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
Breakdown or something like that, right?
And that's, I'm gonna cheat off Jeff's notes.
You want to look at that?
He's got instincts written down there.
Yes.
And that is the way to trust your instincts with that is to have the free mind and only be thinking of what you're doing. That's how you build those instincts, and that's how you trust your instincts, is because you're not thinking about all that other stuff. You're just thinking like, hey, last time when we were fun fishing and we caught them on the credge, we also were able to throw a -1 in flaming orange.
I've caught a lot of fish on that.
Not in that specific color, but this
Yes,
bait.
I have. My partner caught my arm with that one time. That hurt.
Caught him a redfish.
Yeah, he got me a red.
California
That's an
redfish.
East Coast thing.
Yeah.
A lot of redfish.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's how you build that instinct is by having that open brain and screwing around with different baits that aren't related to each other.
And trusting it.
Yeah, I think a lot of times the trust your gut or trust your instincts, right?
Correct.
Like we don't always do that, and sometimes it doesn't work out, and
Sometimes
you trust it and it still doesn't work out, but
that's how you build if you trust your gut and it doesn't work, you
Right.
don't know, but your brain just logged something in your book.
correct.
So now next time you go and you're like, okay, well, I'm going to do this, and that doesn't work, right? Now you did it 4 times, and all of a sudden, boom, you hit somewhere.
Yeah.
But now you can equate your first thing to that one, and I can skip these 3 things. So now next time when you run across it, you go from here and you skip those other 3 and you go to here in the back of your brain, just wildly like letting your brain flow, and you'll go to here. Now let's say that works and you're noticing like it is kind of different. Now you go back and you hit the other 3 in the middle and you find out that one of them kind of works. So now you start linking these bites together.
Right.
But your brain, when you just let your instincts go, your brain will link all that stuff. You don't have to physically write it down on a piece of paper and remember and flip through your notebook, because that one day that I caught him on this, I also caught him on this. Your brain will go, wait a minute, wasn't there a day I caught him shallow when we were doing this? And then you'll go there. You may not throw the same bait because you're just, everybody goes through fads of what baits they throw.
Right.
But you're able to know that when this bite in 30-foot water is going, this bite at 2 foot of water is going. And you're able to link those things together and trusting yourself.
And I think that kind of leads into another thing. It builds confidence. And there's a lot of talk in fishing, like confidence baits, right? Like just because you're confident in it doesn't mean I'm confident in this bait here, this deep dive and crank, I'm going to catch fish on it today.
Yeah.
But if your instincts and in the past that you've been confident with that,
You also know
that
where.
you end up trusting yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Or where to throw it.
Right.
Yeah. Well, how to get that bite? You're able to trust that, repredict, like you're saying, control what you can control.
Right.
Right. So you're gonna go back to that same situation that you can and try and do it.
Yeah.
Like out of this stuff that's on the table right now, my confidence baits, I'll probably use 2 things. It's gonna be the jabberjaw or the underspin. And then next after that is probably just going to be the jerkbait. Is this the one that scares me? This is the re-range. It sounds like it breaks every time you cast, because there's a weight inside of it that slides the tail, and it just straight I can't even make it do it.
You can make it.
Every time I throw it, I feel like I hit my console while I'm casting, because it hits that hard. It casts for days, but
Yeah.
sorry, sidetrack.
Squirrel.
Squirrel.
I thought your confidence bait was going to be the Sorry Steve.
Well, you can't see that on camera, but yeah, Sorry Steve is my go-to oh no bait.
Yeah.
Well, it's the other thing is it's mentioned at every Reapers tournament.
Yes.
I don't care where we're at and what the weather is. It's amazing because to me, it looks like a clear water bluebird skies bait, right?
Yeah,
it's
it
that
doesn't
lighter, and all of us have caught fish on it when it's raining, when it's cloudy.
Clear Lake, Delta,
Yeah.
muddy water, doesn't matter.
No, it's really weird how that
Unless
one
it's-
bait seems to do all of that.
Unless
And-
it's super,
and-
super muddy. Then
And now they don't make them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
at
it's
least you can't
discontinued.
find them.
Can't find them. They don't make them. Everything's back ordered. They just push the back order even further.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully they will make them.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. All of us hold hands together.
Is Marlin on? Maybe Marlin can make one.
We've been talking to them about, maybe
Yeah, I saw one of your recent videos. There's one that's close.
there's one that's close.
You said
Yeah.
it was watermelon with purple and gold, and
Yeah, there's some. We're working on trying to figure out something.
Yeah.
It's too good of a bait to just let go. Too much of a confidence bait. Back
right.
to that.
Right. And that goes right back to that mindset. If you have confidence in a bait, like I have a confidence throwing this one. I know it.
Right. Literally.
Literally. That's the color.
Literally what the color is.
Yeah. I know it. I've done really good on this bait. I've won a tournament at Berryessa, thrown this.
And the funny thing is like we'll be on the same boat. I know exactly where he's throwing this. I know exactly the situation. But in that situation, I pick up a totally different spoon.
Right. But
I pick up a more of a traditional flutter spoon.
that goes to your confidence, right? Like,
Absolutely.
right? Like the reason why I picked that up because it looks almost identical to a threadfin shad.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And the way I built my confidence on that is I actually caught a fish on this and it spit up a threadfin shad that was about this size, that color. And I went, ooh, I have that. And I threw it out there.
Catfish and pike minnow killer too.
I didn't catch any pike minnow on this. I caught pike minnow on this one.
This was the catfish.
Catfish and bass.
A couple 15-pounders.
I caught 3 that were over 15 that day.
Crazy.
It was a great day. Me and Big John were having a great time. But yeah, the confidence
You wanna see some of
is
that?
a thing.
Yeah, what's your next bullet point? You got some good ones over here.
Well,
He came prepared.
a little
We
bit. Yeah.
kind of shoot from the hip.
Yeah.
He came prepared. We're good with that. Though.
Well, so this is one of the things I thought of at home was dock talk,
Yeah.
pros and cons.
Doc talk
Because
will,
I think there's some good,
There
but
is
I think
some good.
sometimes you can go down a rabbit hole and
I
not
will.
do
Dock
well.
I have definitely seen people spin out because they're like, hey, pre-fishing, so-and-so had 30 pounds, 20 pounds, 15 pounds, whatever pounds. Hey, we all win pre-fish.
Yeah.
Every single one of us has a certain tournament where we won a pre-fish. Like we don't even need to
Right.
fish the rest of the tournament because we know where the winners are. And then Saturday rolls around and they ain't never seen a bait before because their fish aren't there. They're gone.
Yeah.
They're not even around there.
I will.
But that dock talk can tear you down because you're spending the whole time, how do I get to 20? How do I get to 20? How do I get to 20? And then they come in and they got 12. And you're like, dang, I only needed to get to 14.
Right. I will tell you that I will listen to Doc Talk 100%. I'm going to listen to it, but I'm only going to take a couple things out of it. I will never try to chase somebody else's fish.
No.
Because if you try to chase somebody else's fish, they're telling you, hey, go here. They're telling you actually, hey, go here and fish there. This is where you're going to catch them.
Right.
You're not going to catch them because your mind's not set right to it.
Well, like, so for instance, we'll just say it's a puzzle, right?
Correct.
Okay. If I know, let's say I'm the person that's talking, doing the doc talking. I know because I've already put the puzzle together. I know what that picture is and I know what to look for to remake that picture. If you hear me talking about it, you know it's a horse, but you don't know what kind of horse it is. You don't know if it's a midget horse, a tall horse, or any of that stuff.
Did you say midget horse?
Oh, midget pony, something like that.
Maybe a pony?
I don't know what they're called. Shetlands.
Or a mini
Shetlands.
horse?
How about a Clydesdale? Maybe,
But
possibly.
you don't know what it is. So you now have to figure out where that puzzle was. You have to figure out what the picture is supposed to be. And then, like, you're already behind it. That person's going to put that together. You can't beat somebody
At their
that
game.
they're already playing that game. Like, you can't just step in, learn the game, and then beat them.
Right.
There is beginner's luck. But like, so for instance, one of the Ken Ma in one of his interviews talks about he doesn't throw a Cinco on the Delta. It's not because it doesn't catch fish. It's just because everybody else he's fishing against throws a Cinco. You cannot beat everyone there unless you get a lucky big bite. So the only way to control whether he can get a bigger bite is to spend all of his time not throwing a Cinco. Now, I mean, he says he doesn't throw it at all, but maybe he picks it up for a limit. I'm assuming he's telling the truth, that he's not throwing it. That makes sense to me. And I actually will only throw a Cinco in a tournament last resort. And usually in that tournament, I'm within 0.1 of everyone else in different angles. So if you don't throw that, or if you just have a really good area, if you don't throw that and you stick to punching, frog, all that other stuff on the Delta, you increase your odds of catching better fish. But at the same time, if those bites aren't on, you kind of could shoot yourself in the foot a little bit.
Well, how many times have we been on the same boat and you're fishing a certain technique, certain color, and let's just say like a worm, and you say, hey, I'm catching fish, use this, and I still don't catch a thing.
I've been on the boat with two other anglers on the boat,
right,
throwing the exact same thing, and I was mopping them up, and they were not catching, and it was so bad that I went to the
work phone.
That's you.
Oh, I thought I didn't.
That's my
It's not us. It's him. It's all on him. It's his fault.
I was a little nervous.
But
it was mine.
I actually went to the back of the boat and gave them the front of the boat, thinking maybe I was
positioning or something.
Positioning.
Right.
And same base. Like they were taking my hooks out. They were using my baits, and they ended up. I was still catching fish at the back, but it's just a little thing different. Maybe the way I was working the bait or doing something. You could be in the same boat doing the same exact thing and not get the fish, right? You have to do your own thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have your style of doing it that's on there. Like your dad has a story about my dad where they're fishing together. My dad's catching them on this crankbait. He goes, I'm tired of catching fish. And Floyd, his dad's not catching any fish or catching very little. He picks up my dad's rod.
As your dad's napping.
And fishing for however long my dad takes a nap, never catches a fish. My dad wakes up from his nap and he goes, here, take this back. And like a cast or two casts later, sticks another fish. And he's like, I don't get it. Yeah. And that's the don't chase somebody else's, right? Like, you have to have the confidence in yourself through doing all your instincts and all that other stuff that all I'm hearing from you when you say all of your dock talk is how deep, how fast, and
what color,
maybe what color, and maybe what style of, like, are you fishing rock, dock, weeds, whatever. Whatever. I'm just pulling those information out. I don't really care about what bait it is, how many sparkles are in your worm, or any of that stuff.
It could be in even general of technique of, was that a reaction bait?
Was it slow or fast?
Was it slow? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what you take from it. That's the pros of dock talk and the.
Right. You take those little clues, and that's what we were talking about the whole time of picking up those little clues when you're out there. That mindset of being open-minded, being able to watch it, picking up those little things, and if you have somebody talking at the dock, those are another couple key things that you want to put together in that bag that you want to bring to the next day.
Right.
Assuming they're telling the truth.
Assuming they're telling the truth. And they're fishermen. You can't believe anything that they're saying, right? Unless they shoot a YouTube video right after.
They don't tell you, they don't tell you everything?
Yeah.
And back it up with videos.
Yeah, and back you up with videos, right?
There's club members in our club that thinks that we lie about what we're using and what we're doing, yet I have video that plays that I always cracks me. They don't watch the videos, but it does crack me up because they're like, oh, they're lying. And I'm like, it's gonna be on video in like 3 days.
But speaking of the video though, is watching the video afterwards or what happened helps that mindset, helps that confidence. For instance, when I stuck that fish for the Mike Vaughn Classic and I maxed out a rod, right? I was filming for James because he was on call. When I came back and I gave him the stuff and we pulled up that section and we were able to slow it down frame by frame and go, yep, that wasn't the right rod.
Yeah. That's how we knew the rod was underpowered.
We need to,
and he ran out of rod, basically.
Yep. I need to get a better rod. And we did some searching. Now I have a rod that I used at the Clear Lake tournament.
That's now been tested and trialed.
And I am plenty happy with it. I have confidence in it. I'm ready to throw it all the time. I even gave it to James to throw for a while, right? Because he broke his rod.
Yeah, we swapped. I had my frog rod and we swapped rods because my frog rod was overpowered. Anytime a fish would come out of the water, if it was small enough, it would just, the rod would just go boing and go like snap straight, and the fish would come undone because it would just unload the rod. And I was like, okay, this is too much rod.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I grabbed his, because it was basically the same rod but 1 power less. And it ended up, I was like, yep, this is exactly where I need to be. Like, I need to pick up this rod.
This is a good jig rod. This works.
Like a heavy powered, like flip rod.
Yeah.
It's a 735 Dobbins.
Yeah.
So that kind of goes
any of the lines, just 735.
Kind of goes into like self-evaluation afterwards, right? I know I talked to you about, do you watch your videos to look for what you've done? I mean, we've talked, you and I have fished together on your boat, and the specific was Clear Lake, and you said one time I've waited, you could see I had a bite.
I counted how many. It was like 11
I think it was 11 seconds. I was going to
say
say
11
10.
seconds between when you see the light bulb go off in his head that he has a bite, and he's like, oh.
I'm going to wait a little longer to make sure I have a bite.
I'm going to check it. And like the whole time, every time he checks it, it's slack line. Like, and all of a sudden he finally catches up to it and sets the hook. And it was like 11 seconds, and the fish went from on the bank to like halfway to the boat.
Yeah, and it was a 5-pounder.
And it was a 5.
Yeah. You told me that, and that's.
But
I know I have that problem, but so like now you have to be able to work on that, right? Like.
Yeah, you can. And I will say that I have issues that I find in my videos that when I'm re-watching what I'm watching, and I still do them, and it's an ever-growing process. You're never perfect on it.
Oh no.
But there are things that I have definitely cleaned up a lot more.
Yeah.
Like not something I work on, but something I notice is every time I set the hook on drop shot, I take a step or two back. Every time. Doesn't matter if it rips it away from me, is about the only difference. But almost every time when I set the hook, I take a step or two back. Yeah. And that's just because usually when I feel that bite, my rod is so high up, I'm not going to take the time to reel all the way down and hit them. I just hit them and move back, and it ticks up that extra line that would have been if I was down.
And I'll stand up on my tip.
And he does a little like hop when he sets the hook.
I noticed my partner this past week, Sean, did something similar, but he raised his rod really high. And I mean, like hands like up here after he set the hook, but you get the nice bend, and it's instead of moving back, he's loading the rod to put the tension on the fish, and he'll keep it there for a little bit. Yeah. And I was kind of like, that's a little different. And then you realize why. Just something to kind of, maybe I should try that, or maybe I should put that in my toolbox and see.
Right. You definitely want that bend in the rod, right? Because the rod is what's going to hold the fish on the hook.
Correct.
And that also goes back to the mental side of that, is that I've had a day where I got every single one of the right bites, but they came undone. And then at the end of the day, I'm sitting there going, well, I don't know what to do tomorrow because I didn't even get the right bite. Like I forgot about the bites that I lost. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I recap it and I'm going, oh yeah, I got all of the right bites, but because they didn't make it into the boat, I forget about them. But you have to remember, like, if you got that right bite, that means you did something right. You may have played it wrong, or it didn't hook right, or whatever. Don't forget about that. Keep growing on that pattern and fine tune it, because it's like you have to, yes, you didn't get the glory shot of putting it in the live well.
Right.
But you have to consider that and move forward with it.
You had the right bites.
Yeah.
It just
just didn't come together.
Didn't come together. You had the wrong rod.
Yeah, wrong rod.
Line,
weren't paying attention.
Your leader knot was slipping and you didn't pay attention.
Yeah,
Or
any
your
of that.
partner runs underneath your rod.
I'm not gonna live that one down.
No, you won't.
No.
I'm okay with
It gets mentioned every once in a while. It gets mentioned.
it. It's just in the back pocket. Just
Right.
That's in the back
Oh,
pocket.
yeah.
Here you go. Another thing that James realized that he did to me when we fished watching video is like if I net his fish, I'll hold the net for him while he could get the fish out of the net. If he nets my fish, he just drops the net.
No, I'd like hold the fish to him, but like as he's going to reach in, I'd like, oh, where's my rod at? And I'll like turn away, and he's like, hey, like reaching for it, and I'm just like rewatching, and I'm like, my brain's just going
He's a
so
horrible
fast.
friend.
My brain's just going so fast that I'm like, oh, he's got the fish, moving on, and he doesn't have the fish. So that it like made me like, okay, just grab it, just grab. Finally, fuck. Okay, where's my rod?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a partner tell you when you say fish, say I want to see it before I get the net and make sure it's nettable?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Now this was pre-fishing, and I'm only, I won't mention names, but it sounds like Brian Getz.
I'm not gonna say any name, but it rhymes with Brian Getz.
We've been netting this fish all day, and he says, I need to see if it's big enough for the net. And I'm like, I know my rod and what I'm using. It's big enough for the net. Get it now. Of course,
That's where I'd start yelling.
Yeah.
If it's a 10-incher, I'll be like,
was
oh,
a-
it's a giant.
It was a fun pre-fishing day before
Oh, yeah.
Clear Lake. But yeah, no, it's...
See, I
It's pretty
don't
good.
like fun fishing. I usually don't even net them. I probably boat flip them. Like just pop them up, grab the line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
most
a lot
time.
of
If it's
times
big
we
enough,
do.
Obviously, you can't. But
Yeah, like if we're pre-fishing, I'll ask, you need the net,
Right.
right? Like
I'll even
Yeah.
I'll even be like, you need a net. You need a net. You need a net. You need a net. And like I can like obviously see it's like a 10-incher skipping on the top of the water. You need a net. You need a
Those,
net.
those are the ones you net for them.
yeah,
Or
100%.
you run back, oh, it's a giant. You grab the net. And then later on, I cuss at myself when I'm editing because I'm like, oh, net got out. Oh, no, it's a dink. Never mind.
right?
So do you guys, is there a specific technique that you like or you're better at? And do you try to stick with that at times? Or do you try to venture out, even like fun fish, and try new techniques or anything?
Always try.
I will always be screwing around with everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Always.
Always.
It's good to
This-
branch out a little
this
bit.
last
I mean, we
weekend-
all have our likes and dislikes, right? Like,
Right.
but we fish, I think in the club, we fish so many different lakes that you kind of have to be a little more versatile.
Yeah, you have to be a little more jack of all trades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this last weekend, I was throwing scope baits, jighead minnows, on Friday, screwing around with a bunch of dinks just to try and figure out how to get, like, they're active dinks. Let's see if I can get them to bite. And got a couple of them to bite. And then Saturday threw it and didn't know what I was doing. And then Sunday got lucky where I actually kind of figured out a little bit of how to do it and was able to generate some bites with it.
Have you ever, like on that note, like on a non-competitive day, fun fishing, pre-fishing, like limited yourself? Like today, I was a year ago, I wasn't very good at jig fishing.
I 100% only loaded jighead minnow into my boat and drove all the way to Barrie. I said this last summer, multiple different days. I think I caught like one fish maybe, and I had a day where I didn't catch anything. Maybe a couple of days I didn't catch anything.
Right.
And the only fish I caught were like dinks, and it was like random, like they ate it on the fall or something.
Yeah.
But you make yourself have to do that.
Just focus on that one technique or bait, right?
Yeah, but most of the time you kind of just pick it up as you're front fishing. You bring everything with, and then you'll do it for a couple of hours, and then you go back to doing what gets bit.
I'm going to tell you that same issue, same topic. When me and James fished our first Ultimate Frog Challenge, we learned a ton in that one weekend.
Because we were forced to.
Because you're forced to only throw a frog.
Correct.
So we had a frog. This is what you could throw.
And you can have all these other pretty colors and all these other pretty styles.
But you had to having our mind right, you had to put together the other factors, right? those things that at the Delta, there's a ton of variables that if you had other baits, I would have just thrown this or I would have just thrown that. I wouldn't have moved, right?
But
because we're limited to just a frog, hey, we need to move. We need to go here. We need to do this. We need to do that. And it built understanding more of the Delta, per se, for the title and everything like that by just throwing the frogs for that weekend.
Well, I think it also shows you sometimes too the importance of being stuck with that bait is some other factors that play key factor.
Correct.
Cadence to that frog.
Yep.
Are you popping it and pausing it? Are they hitting on the pause or when it's moving?
And that's what our aha moment was
right.
Hey, whenever we did this, we got that. So then we got this, and then we started it was actually the drive home after day one.
Yeah.
That we started to put a couple of the pieces together, and then realized we overlooked these three things or whatever, however many things it was. And then on Sunday we started to implement it, and then things just kind of fell together. Like once you got the first couple of pieces together, the rest just fell together.
Correct. I think that was a tournament you guys the first day. I don't remember what place, but then you ended up in fourth place.
We went from 20 something.
Yeah, it was a big
fourth
jump.
Overall. We had 13 pounds for 3 fish, and there was no kickers. It was all
that was a
something like that. 12,
pretty
13,
good Sunday for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that
we culled a lot of 3-pounders that day.
But doing that one bait opened our eyes up to stuff that we don't typically look at fishing the Delta that now I look at with all my other baits also.
Right. And something that you can't always find if you throw a frog for 20 or 30 minutes and then throw something else, right? You end up not putting that together.
That's the thing.
That's the same with any bait.
You throw a frog and you get a blow up, but it was short strike. What do you want to do? You want to throw a Cinco in behind it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. You can't.
But you can't.
Or like this year where
you throw the frog behind
I was on a really good spinnerbait bite, but you can't throw a dang spinnerbait.
Right.
And the whole time, something blew up and you're like, would I ate a spinnerbait? But that's also the positive part or the mental attitude, right? Instead of me going, okay, we were trying to figure out how to make those fish eat, but they were deep enough that you can't, how do we get them to come up that high? So you're trying to analyze the puzzle and look at it from different angles.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that, kind of going back to our topic of the mental aspect or the mental toughness of it is when you learn those new things, now you have a little more confidence that, hey, if I need to go to that bait, I'm okay with that.
Correct.
If the day says, hey, that drop shot's not working, or, the frog's not working, but I've practiced jigs and spinner baits, okay, I'm confident in that.
The other half of that is if you pick up the frog enough times, if you pick up drop shot enough times, if you pick up a spoon enough times,
A-rig
enough times, you can actually take yourself to the best situation, throw that bait, and if it didn't work in that best situation, you can probably eliminate all the oddball ones that have to do with it.
Right.
So now you can eliminate a bait faster or a technique faster and move on to the next technique.
Right.
Sometimes you gloss over things and you skip something, but where you this didn't really work, but it wasn't quite right. You blew through it too fast, eliminated it too fast, basically.
Yeah.
I've probably done that.
I know I've done that. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
I hope you guys took notes because
they could rewatch it.
Yeah, you could rewatch it. Feel
none of us pause it and go back and look at stuff, do we? I may.
Yeah, there's definitely some times where people are like, you can.
What do you say?
See it. You can see
Tiny
it.
horse? Pony?
Yeah, I'm gonna get tagged on.
Or
YouTube
what
for
that
that
was
name.
that there fishing in the background? Oh wait, I know where that's at.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny that the 8-pounder or just short of 8 pounds fish in the 31-pound day.
Right.
There's a lot of people who back up for that 8-pounder. You can actually see it in the analytics. You can see how many people go back.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Watch just that section.
That wasn't an 8-pounder though.
It was a 795 or something.
Okay. I'm just making sure that you know that it
No, that's
wasn't
what
an
I said.
8.
It wasn't. It was Short day.
It's pretty
baby.
close.
I don't call them 8 unless it physically says 8-0 something. If it doesn't say 8-0-0, I'll call it a heavy 7, typically.
Yeah, you
If
can't.
it
but he
says
calls
800, is it an 8?
He calls them an 8 if it's like 7-9-0 or more. He'll call it an 8.
That's a little much. 797. That's an 8.
I think it was 795. So technically,
There's a little variance in that scale.
just shy of an 8.
Plus or minus.
No, it was official scale,
Oh, okay.
It's a certified scale.
certified scale.
So, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm hungry.
Anything else?
Yeah, you guys. I didn't know we were doing a video. I thought we were going to.
You just skip right to the food.
Yeah.
You guys enticed me with.
We're gonna do this at the food, aren't we?
Aren't we going to Mel's or something?
Going somewhere.
It's like a hot dog after B&W.
Right? Guaranteed. If you guys have any questions, if you have any ideas for videos, let me know. I've been wanting to do this video specifically for probably 3 months. Just haven't got to it yet. But I'm running low on ideas, so I do want to do a drop shot one coming up. Not sure. Need some ideas out there. You're more than welcome to comment them down below. Hit me up on Instagram for any of that stuff. And thank you for coming.
Yeah,
and sharing.
thanks for having me. I
Thank you for
enjoyed
sharing.
it.
And thank you guys for watching. Definitely appreciate it.
Open
And,
November 23rd.
Saturday.
November 23rd. $150 if you pay ahead. You only got like a week to do it.
No,
I don't even think
today's
you have
today. Today's the date.
Today's the last day.
Mhm.
Never mind. Bring $160 in cash plus some raffle prize money to the open, and that is
Buda Canyon.
Buda Canyon. Don't pound on the desk. To Buda Canyon. And thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it. Let me catch myself with a spoon here. And until next time, I hope you get them.